Hi everyone and welcome back. So today what we are going to make is a landscape, I guess, again, but it's going to be using perspective today, a little bit more perspective than we did with the ombre landscape the last time. So as you can see here, I have used perspective where the river is going back into the distance. I've used large trees at the front in the foreground, medium-sized trees, and as it gets further away, the trees are getting smaller. In the grass, it's dark, and the darkness fades out to brightness and paler, and then from the sky, it fades from paleness out to darkness, and that gives an effect of 3D. So this is the horizon line here. We have the background, we have the middle ground, and we have the foreground at the bottom, and all the things that are in the front. So the landscape is broken down into sort of three main areas: your background, your middle, and your foreground. Now, I'm going to start off drawing a line straight across the top of the page, and that is the horizon line. So from this line, from here up, is the sky, and from here down is what's in the landscape. So I'm going to start off, maybe I might like to have some mountains like this, and I'm going to do a wavy line for my mountains going up like that. I could even have a double row of mountains like we did the last day, like this. Now, I'm using a sheet of A4 paper, which is a little bit small. You might prefer to have a larger sheet of paper. It'll help you to draw better. Now, I'm going to have here, I can have a river again. So I'm going to start off with a wavy line. And it's going to be like so. And I'm going to have my river be very wide, and it's going to go to virtually a very small shape in the background. So I'm going to make it an even thinner river than I did in my original drawing, and I'm going to make it grow. Like that. And the river is meandering across the landscape like this. I'm going to put a very large tree here, so I'm going to draw a straight line like this, and I'm going to do sort of fir trees like so. Okay, and I'm going to rub that away so that it just makes sense. So things that are in the foreground are usually really big because they're so much closer to the person looking at the picture. Now I might have behind that a little bit of grass. Over here I could do some grass along the riverbank. And then maybe I might have a smaller tree. That tree's a little bit sort of pointy and it's a little bit rustic. So about here, I could have some small grass there, and maybe my tree that I could put in here. I'm using the trees here to show distance and space going back in the picture. And maybe along here we could have a whole range of just a little forest clump. Like so. So you can see now my horizon line is behind my tree. Like that. I could even do a bush effect. I could have a bush behind here as well. that. Okay, so I've now laid out my landscape with some nice elements in it. I have my river. I could make this a road as well if that was preferable. So it could look like it's maybe a road traveling somewhere. I've used the ombre effect here in the sky, so I'm going to pick some colors for that. So I have some blue shades, and so you can see how the blues will actually fade, and I'm going to get some black as well. So I'm going to fade these colors from light to dark. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the white, and I'm going to put some white. Now there's some blue already on the tip of the white pastel, so that can mix in to make a very pale blue down at the bottom closer to the horizon line. And that's going to fade behind the mountains as well. If you colour over your mountains a little bit, it's actually alright, because I'm going to make the mountains really dark against the sky so that they stand out and they're going to contrast greatly against the sky. So there's my paler blue. Now I'm going to work into this medium shade. And you can see I'm having problems with such a small sheet of paper because the pastels are quite large, and I would recommend that you guys do this on a larger sheet. I'm just doing this small because of filming. And then I'm going to use the navy shade to fade it to dark. And then the black at the end to finally make it very deep. So it's sort of that time of day when it's just about to go dark. And I'm going to use the blue now to blend the black into that. If you wanted, you could use the white then to do some little stars in the sky. If you're having a twilight, you could even do the moon. Like so. Okay, now, so I'm going to have, you can see on my water effect, I did the same way. I had light blue fading down to dark blue, which was here. So I'm going to actually try and make a road here on this instead of a river. Maybe it might be just a nice different effect for you all to see. So I'm going to start off with some grey, and with the grey I'm going to try and get it as far as maybe here where I've got light grey. And then I'm going to try and get the black then to fade over that. Now, I'm not leaning very hard on this black on top of the grey. I'm just trying to get like a very light shade over the grey where they're mixing. And then down at the bottom here, this is where I'm going to lean really hard on my black pastel to make the road really dark. And you can see now how that fades away. Okay, like so. Now, I'm going to make this mountain here, the background mountain, very dark. Now you can change around the time of day that this is at. You could have it at sunrise, sunset, and you could have a beautiful sun coming up with all the different shades of oranges like we explored the last day, and rays from the sun in all different ways would look really great. I'm going to use this dark brown now for this mountain here. And You can see that they're kind of blending the black and the brown together. And that's actually all right again, because when something is really far away, it's very hard to see where the edges are and it can be a little bit fuzzy. So in the foreground, in the front of your picture, it would be better to have a cleaner outline. But when you have like mountains against each other like this, it's actually okay if they're a little bit hard to tell where they are, where they overlap. And again, if little bits of other colour gets mixed in, that's all right as well, because again, mountains will have other sort of shades in them. You can see I'm using different shades of browns now to sort of make texture on the rocks of the mountains. You could even do bits of sort of green on them, or if you have views of your house out at the mountains, you can look out at the mountains and see what they look like and see what kind of colours you can see. That would be really great. Or if you have any old photos of mountains at home, they'd be great to root out and have a little look. So now I'm going to try and find some shades of green. So you can see how I have sort of light, medium, dark and very dark. So I'm going to start off, I can see there's a bush here behind my tree, so I'm actually going to make that brush black to make it stand out against the mountain there. And then these trees, again, I'm going to just colour them in a black shape just to make them contrast against the mountain so we can really see the shape quite clearly. Now I could use some yellow, and I'm going to put some yellow down here first because it's going to mix with the green. To sort of make it a bit lighter. I could use some white mixed in as well. And the really great thing about oil pastel is that you can really get them to mix quite nicely like paint. And the way I would always use them, a pastel would be the same way that I would mix paint colours as well. So I'm mixing now the green with the yellow to make like a faded pale green, light green. And I'm working this colour the whole way across for the grass. So this is really working on the idea of blending the colours to make them look really far away. So we're creating a little optical illusion where the road is wider and smaller in measurement, and it creates the effect of distance. And then we're going to use colour then to really make that look even more far away. Because how we use the fading of the colours now, you see the medium shade mixed over the light shade, now is really making that really stretch to our eyes. Even though it's a flat picture, we are seeing it as being further away. Now, even if little bits of the black gets mixed in, it can still add to the 3D perspective effect. Okay, so there's my grass. I could use now this darker green to draw little textures for where the grass would be sort of fluffy. And I would only really see that kind of detail down the bottom where it would be close to where I would be. Now the dark green wasn't really standing out enough, so I know that if I mix blue and yellow, I will make green. So I'm going to mix a bit of dark blue here over that area to kind of make the grass effect like this. And you can see how that's very similar to the same effect that I have for my water. It's just that I've changed the colour. And you can see now the grass effect disappearing into the background. Now, I'm going to use some blue here on that grass shape that I drew. And then I'm going to use this green to blend the blue in. And you can see that's now making a shape there for me. I'm going to use this green here for the bush, and then maybe I could put some yellow down on that. And let's see if I use this other blue. Let's see if I can mix. Yeah. Now I have another shade of green there. It's sort of different. I'm going to use this green again, I think, for the bush. This trees here, they're very far away, so I'm going to make them black. Like that. You could even maybe have like a little fence if you wanted. And the fence would be getting smaller as it goes back, like that. I'm going to use this medium shade of green for this tree, and then maybe some black over it to kind of draw in some of the texture, like so. I'm going to mix now a bit of this bright green first to sort of shade this tree here. I'm colouring this in, so I've coloured side to side across so that I'm getting a blend side to side, but with the trees I'm colouring them in up and down so that it's giving me a different texture and a different direction in my drawing. Because the trees would grow up towards the sky, I'm going to colour them in up and down, and because the sky is going across the picture, I did lines going across. So that's actually very important. The way that you use line to show direction in your picture is very important as well, because it helps things to make sense. So now I'm going to layer different shades of greens and blues to try and get the effect of the texture of the tree. And at the bottom there will be a lot of shadow, so I'm going to put in some black in here, because that would make sense. And you can see here that the black is sort of in the zigzags that I'm shading in, makes the tree look very kind of fluffy, and it makes it look like how a tree would be. It describes that to us. And I'm just using all the different shades of greens that I have to mix together so that they just stand out as being different to the grass. And again, I'm going to do this grass here, I think black, because you can see it is being different against the edge of that tree. And maybe I could blend the black and this green together so that it doesn't fade into the road and then my grass has disappeared. So I'm going to use this medium green again, and I'm shading it up and down in an effect. And I'm going to use the black lines again. And then I'm going to blend it all together with this bright green. So there is my outlined and completed landscape. You can see they're both sort of similar but different at the same time. So you can change your landscape to have whatever elements you want, different style mountains. You could have different time of day. You could have a morning sunrise. You could have an evening moonscape. You could have daytime with clouds in the sky. You could have birds flying. You could add in flower decorations all in the front of your picture. You could have different shaped trees, rivers, roads, fences, bushes. You could do houses. You could do a town. You could do a cityscape. You can do so many things with this effect. So what I really would like to see would be different shading techniques, like what I've shown you, to try and make your landscape look like it's going away in the distance towards your horizon line. So it's dark at the bottom and it fades to light towards your horizon line, and then your sky fades from light to dark as well. So that's one little tip to use your ombre blending effect to make your perspective look further away and more 3D. So best of luck with that, and I can't wait to see what you guys make. See you soon.